How do folks? How you doing? It's a bit of a late one. It's about 2 o'clock in the morning, so forgive my states. But basically, I've realised we've lost a video, quite important one, and it was on Facebook Live on Remedy Banter, and as a lot of folks know, we've been closed down because we tell a little bit too much truth and they really don't like what we do. It is what it is, and new things are to come. But anyway, for now, this most important video, this is about, some people call it claiming your sovereignty. It's not. It's setting yourself in the private. It's setting your status, and your standing in life, and it's revoking contracts, and it's sorting all the paperwork out under motu proprio, which is of your own accord. Now, first thing people need to understand, it isn't just, and there isn't a case where you're just going to send something off to the government and that's it, and the government, somebody from the government's now going to run around to all the departments and everybody that you might have any dealings with everywhere saying, don't mess with him, leave them alone. It just doesn't work that way. But leading up to it, I'll talk you through what I've done and what brought me to it, more importantly, and how I've done it, and explain a few things. Now, basically, I'm a truther. I'm a hardcore truther. I've been down just about every rabbit hole. I've found the fake ones. I've found the rubbish. I've been down it all, and eventually on them travels, I found that there was something a little bit wonky with the law. Well, being a truther, head in, go in, absolutely, head first, as I did. So I got into it, and I was listening to folks, as a lot of you lot out there will be doing, and just didn't know what the hell they was talking about, but could see there was something there. And they was all trying to confuse and make their videos and sound clever. And bottom line, nothing ever got anywhere. Everybody was going round in circles. My knowledge was increasing. I kept learning and learning, as you do. That was my goal. I study. So I found myself studying the law. Now I'm a rough fella. I've been a rough fella all my life. But I'm an inquisitive fellow, and I've always been, I wouldn't class myself ever as intelligent. I still don't know. I'm just a learner. I like to learn. You just take things in. You learn a bit of that and a bit of this. But above all, folks will find me a bit rough. I swear like a trooper. I say it how it is. I call anybody out. There's a lot of fakes out there, and I make a lot of enemies because I call them out. There's a lot of fakes. So I find myself in a group, work my way into the admin stage of that group. Wasn't really happy with what was happening. Found myself helping folk on the side. Something I just created, this way of helping folk with bailiffs to start off with, and it was just from what I'd learned and in my head and what I could do, and I found out I was getting quite some success with it. So it went on to other things, and over time it really developed into, I started rebutting just about everything that came along, and my mind just must have just started working that way with the information I had, and it just gave me the ability to pretty much rebut any claim that came forward. And I was doing it on behalf of other folk, which was quite an undertaking. As you can imagine, when you're doing something like that and you just say, yeah, I'll help you, you got a problem, I'll help you. It got absolutely crazy. But anyway, as time went on, I grew the group I was in, things happened, I moved on, set my own up, Remedy Banter, teaching a bit of law, having a laugh and a joke in my rough manner, as I do. It was a great success. We've done lots of things on there, but the notices kept coming, as I call it. The notices kept coming, the work kept coming in, people needed help, so I was helping. Over a couple of years, I don't think there's anything I haven't dealt with. I've got people totally tax-free for life, which is a lot easier than people think. Dealt with just about every situation successfully. I've got to the point now, oh no, I won't jump. I got to the point where things just got on top. It was just too much work. I had a heart attack. I was working so many hours a day. I was setting my alarm for 3 hours sleep so I could get up and continue writing, not because I wanted to, because I had a whole list of folk that just needed help. They needed help, and I was the man that could help them, so I needed to help them. It was a moral thing. I don't know what you'd call it. I was just absolutely stuck in this rut of helping and destroying myself. Like I say, I had a heart attack, change of thoughts, time to look after myself, time to think of myself. I got all this knowledge, and for so long I knew I could free myself from this slave system, but I'd been so wrapped up, so it was time to do it. A good friend, or what turned into a good friend at the time, a guy came to me. He knew what I was doing. I didn't know him from Adam, but he knew what I was doing. He'd followed me a little while. He tried for quite a while to get to see me, meet me. I just didn't have the time. Eventually, time happened, and he was persistent enough, luckily. We got our heads together. He's a very, very clever man. And we worked out, we were dynamite together. There's nothing in the world we couldn't do together. We could set countries up together. We could bring the system down together if that was our intent. We had no intent of that. You crumble it down, you learn along the way what will come if that happens, and it's not nice. They're breaking it down themselves at the minute to bring in the new system, and they've got everybody absolutely transfixed on all the theatre. But anyway, I won't digress into that. So me and this, what turned into a very good friend, we really got our heads into this. And over 8 months we developed a process that was absolutely foolproof of freeing yourself from the system. It was absolutely foolproof. But we were serving documents for 8 months, every week, so at least 6 special deliveries. It turned into fortunes. You couldn't even imagine the postal. But we were doing it systematically, removing ourselves from literally everything. So when we completed the process for ourselves, we became evidenced as in all levels of law and the judiciary, and the government, that we were private sovereign men, basically. So I then decided to see if I could develop a shorter way of doing this, which I did, luckily. And I narrowed it down into quite a short process, considering, into a 3-stage process. So I've got this absolute foolproof 3-stage process. What can I do with that? I can't put it out on the internet because it's a 3-stage process, and I know everybody wants a template, but you can't have a template well, I can't make you a template like this. You can't do it. It's personalized. It's for you. So, and if it went out there, if the first stage went out there as a template, people would get themselves in an awful lot of trouble. This is deep law, and making a fuck up with this document would absolutely cause all sorts of chaos for yourself. So I couldn't release it. So nothing was going to happen to it. I was looking after my health. I didn't know how I could help anybody, because can you imagine just saying to everybody, yeah, this is free, but I've got to help you do it. I'd be dead. The ticker couldn't handle it. So basically it got sidelined for a bit. And then, under the current circumstances, let's say I'm a deep truther, I've got an idea of what's coming next and where it's going. So we decided we're going to get ourselves out. I'm already off-grid anyway, I live off-grid. But we decided, a collection of us, a few of us, that we're getting out and becoming sovereign. A couple of others were becoming sovereign, getting the private status. And we decided we was going to get some land and set up a little place, remove it from the system, set it absolutely in the private, and live peacefully. Self-sufficient, mind our own business. As we're private, we're outside the system, stay outside the system. Life will be hunky-dory, won't it? Current climate, what's going on? You deal with how that's going to go. So anyway, this is the plan. We were very lucky. A lovely woman has joined us, and she's in a fortunate position where she can put some money in to get the land to start us off. Obviously we've still got to get a lot of money to get it all set up, because we're not just going to be gypsies and live terribly. No disrespect to any gypsies or anybody of any kind, but that's not what we're about. I want to set something up really nice and live quite normal to what we thought feels normal. So what can I do? I'm not a rich man, I've got no money, but what I've got a process, a hell of a process. So I decided, for the purpose of that, and solely for the purpose of that, not to make myself any money, to make some money to help do this, I would start freeing folk. So I started to do it. But I'm me, and it don't sit right charging anybody anything. I've never charged anybody anything, but to be honest, I've worked myself into heart attacks. So, and I've had multiple heart attacks through it all now. I would say through it all, but with working very hard. So, here we go. I started helping other folk out to help us as well, and others that are going to be joining us in this, I don't like to really call it a community, but I don't know what else to call it really. So, what can I do? I've got to tell folk. So, basically, I'm going to run you through what it is. Now, obviously, I can't read it here. There's a 33-page document, roughly, everybody's different, but roughly 33-page document, and it's times by 7 documents. You've got 250 odd pages, of plus 6 documents there is 250. I don't know, you do the maths, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. So 250 plus pages. I think it's going towards 300 actually in total. There's an awful, I found out when I was printing it, it actually took 5 ink cartridges. 5 ink cartridges to print all that out. They're terrible. They're terrible. 60 pages per cartridge I was getting when I was printing, and I could find it out. It was only within a few pages. That's how much you get ripped off. So as you can imagine, the costs involved of absolute fortune. But anyway, I ended up having to get a printer that just takes the bottled ink to try and bring the cost down, but there's still quite some cost involved in doing all this lot. But what you do, this is all absolutely set in law, and you have perpetual numbers, and we actually, me and my friend, we got governmental numbers sent back to us under the filing numbers, which are absolutely amazing to have. Very good. I don't know, as Parliament's not working properly, whether they're actually issuing them at the minute or whether somebody's there to do it. I don't know, but it doesn't really matter, because what's done is done, and it's absolutely set in law. So anyway, like I say, I can't read it you all. There's just far too much, and it is so deep. The first section you wouldn't even understand. It's a declaration of divinely appointed sovereignty and asseveration of divine truth. Asseveration, should I say, of divine truth. That's your ecclesiastical side. Now, I don't know whether you know about it, but the Vatican believe they hold your soul. They own your ass. That's their opinion. Sorry if you can hear my dog panting. It's nobody ever breathing. It's just my dog having a whinge. Do you want to go outside? Come on, let me just let my dog outside while I'm talking. So we get on to that one. That is an ecclesiastical document, and it absolutely removes whatever presumptions and assumptions that they own your soul. It removes it entirely. The Vatican have no claim on you whatsoever. You're going to have to excuse me a minute now, because the dog wants the bloody door open. Like I say, I live off grid, so I'm going to put a cardigan on, stay warm, because she'll be in and out doing my head in. Right, so you've got that one. That one absolutely gets your soul back, as far as them having your soul. They believe they do, and that's one of the things that absolutely binds you. They've got the rights. So you claim that one back for starters. What can I say? I'd go into it, but that one is absolutely deep. You're just not gonna, it's gonna go whew, seriously, and no disrespect to you, it is very deep, ecclesiastical. So after that one, you go on to a revocation of all contracts. Now, throughout the government, they have so many contracts, or presumed and assumed contracts on you. Every aspect of your life is touched by these contracts. every time you think you have no choice, it's because of one of these contracts, these assumed and presumed contracts. Your taxes, literally everything in life, your driving licenses, everything in life, your passport, everything is a contract, literally, and everything you do is a contract. So a revocation of all contracts, and you absolutely revoke all contracts, so much work is involved in this one, but it's a very good piece of documentation. And then you go on to a notice of understanding, intent to claim of right. Now, I know a lot of people have done some of these things individually, but there's much more than sending a piece of paper away. Loads of people have done this. Oh yeah, I've sent off one of them. Who got it? Did you find out if anybody received it? Did you get a response to it? Did anything come of it? Nothing comes of it. Nothing comes of anything. You can't just do things like that. You can't just send a piece of paper away because somebody told you, and that's what a lot of these groups do. They have, I don't know whether they're harebrained ideas or whether they're just designed to take you down the wrong path, but either way, there's much more to it. But when it comes to this one, I mean, the one I wrote, it has, let me just scroll down to the bottom of this one and have a quick look how many points there are in here. There's 104 points just on that section of it, and these are setting out your rights, setting out basically your terms, because you've removed all your contracts, and you now need to set your terms of your life, and nobody does this with the government. I say it all the time. People know that the government presume they have this authority over you because you consent, and people say, I don't consent. Well, that's not good enough to say you don't consent. Have you ever spoke to them and told them you don't consent? Not many have. You just sit in your house, say I don't consent. I don't cut it. You've already consented. They've got your consent. You can't just say I don't consent. So it takes quite some documentation to remove all consent and then to set in stone your terms. Because now any contracts that want to go forward from here, they're your contracts. They don't have any contracts with you. They're all revoked. And it goes into multiple laws and case laws that prove that the government is unlawful, which it is. It's absolutely unlawful, and it's proven in law. There is case law to prove it. There's multiple laws. It's another document here that goes into, again, multiple case laws. It speaks of Candran Cathuthis, which is PhD. He is the director of the London. It's a Department of Government and London in London of Economics, and this guy, he absolutely proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that the government, in his words, had no more power than McDonald's, or no more authority. Sorry. No more authority than McDonald's, and that's because they only have the authority which you give them. So if you remove it, they have none, and that's absolute fact. And from that, it actually went into a court and it got case law on it. So it stands in law that the government have no more authority than McDonald's. But if you don't know it, and you don't tell them you know it, have they got authority when they come kicking your door in? Have they got authority? Is there anything to redress? So, you get your contract sorted, you tell them exactly who they are, who you are, most important. There's a notice to any and all agents of the Crown in here. This again absolutely destroys the government, destroys the system, destroys the police force. It absolutely states who they are. It's all private for-profit corporations. Again, with case laws and tearing apart, this one actually gets a little bit legal. Legal terminology, should I say. Not lawful, because I deal in lawful. But in here, there's a few legal words for them. Just for them. I don't usually use them. But this is absolutely a great piece of documentation. Everything stands in law. None of it. There's no jurisdictions at all. Now, for a couple of years, I worked only in the jurisdiction of equity. I would not touch Admiralty, only in equity. But what I found out, I actually learned to cross over and be able to stand in any jurisdiction I wanted to. At one stage, I paid quite a lot of money actually for a course to actually learn. That was one of the things I wanted to actually take from that, which I did successfully. But over the years, I've spent absolute fortunes on my knowledge and what I wanted to learn. But if you need it, that's what you do, and if that's your mindset. But anyway, where was I? I stood only in the jurisdiction of equity. But with this paperwork, I actually realised that that wasn't necessary, nor was it necessary to stand in Admiralty. I learned through the process, or me and my friend, we learned through the process to actually stand without jurisdiction whatsoever, just as a man. Just as a man, telling him. But when you put in all of the laws they're breaking, all of the case laws to prove it, you revoke all your contracts and blah, 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 and you take your soul back from the Vatican. Wow, ridiculous, they own your soul. Have you ever heard anything so stupid in your life? But that's what they believe. So because of that, they own you. Really? So I know there's been many, and to me now, I don't know how I actually feel about it, because for so long, while learning all this, this was sort of the goal. This was the goal, to get to this point of knowledge where I could do this. Somewhere along the way, it lost its importance. It wasn't important. It was important just to help people. Best I could. Explain people. Teach people properly, because you've got so many people out there just trying to make videos, and they don't want you to know what they're saying. Because if you know what they're saying, you're going to learn some shit, and you're going to learn more than them, because they're just skimming the surface so they can learn the video, the next video, the next video. And yes, accumulative, they learn loads of things, but nothing in depth, nothing gets followed through to the end. So this had to be followed through, and yes, it became a very expensive process the way I did it, and to anybody, it is costly to do. But once it's done, there is no way in the world you could ever be taken into a court for an act and statute. It just could not be done. It could not. The paperwork itself tells them why they can't do it. And you'd only have to go in and throw that at them, and your fee schedule that would go with. But to be honest, you wouldn't go in, because you wouldn't ever have to walk in a court anyway. You could just serve this to the court. They wouldn't dare touch you. And the fee schedules, just for taking it that far, the fee schedules and such like that come along at a later stage, come on the third stage, actually, the fee schedules go in. They're phenomenal. They're absolutely phenomenal if they ever try and touch you with anything of this. And of course, it's only your contract's running now. The entire world is contract. Everything's commercial. Everything's private for profit. United Kingdom, PLC. Check it out. Company's House. It'll tell you right there. It'll tell you their number. Tell them their registration number. You're a company, you're a private for profit corporation, registered in 1999. What's going on here? Think about it. And this is how you... To me, like I say, my mind just works this way now, so I can see things so easily. And when I hear something, to me it's like, what? And why are you struggling with that? And that's so fucking... but unfortunately, it don't really come across very well sometimes. I sound really helpful and explanatory to start off, and I'll always explain, and I'll always help, and I will take great lengths and spend hours on the phone explaining something to you. But I think I've got to the point now where it's so easy. I'm trying to get people to uncomplicate things. Yes, this paperwork's uncomplicated, but the way you deal with things isn't complicated at all. And so many people making these videos make them sound so complicated, and it's really not. It's just knowing who you are within the system, who you are within the trust. You're the beneficiary, and I've been saying that for a couple of years, even before I realised the actual power and how to use it properly. And this documentation, actually, it is using it properly. It goes on after that how the current situation affects myself and the possible remedy. Well, we're going on here about this pandemic, and it goes into vaccinations, and it goes, I mean, vaccinations or RFID chips, if they dare stick a needle in you, it's £100 million just on that one. And I'm not talking about much money within this, because there's the remedy that will, and I'm sure will come with this. And I know the government are doing fuck all at the minute, but when the government get back to work, I will be settling this, and I will be getting the remedy, because it is there. The documentation's already done, it's already set at every single level. But the remedy within this is not what anybody else would ever talk about. It's not monetary, but it's beyond settling your life. But that's not really to go into on the video, because I don't really want people to be focused on money, because it's not about that. It's getting out of this corporate system as far as I'm concerned, and preventing all this bullshit that just keeps coming at you over and over again. And it's corporate. It's run by commercial law. There must be a signed and wet ink contract by both of you, having given fair and equal opportunity to give it your own due diligence and decide, yes, I want to sign this contract, I want to enter into contract with you guys so you can then bend me over and for the rest of my life. They never gave you that chance, did they? Look into the birth certificate fraud and such like if you don't know that, but for now I won't go into that, because this is just purely to explain this. So that one there pretty much finishes it all off at that, because by the time you've finished all that lot off, like I say, you've got 250 to 300 pages, not quite 300 but going up that way, of work that will absolutely take you out of it. That's my work. Now for you, it doesn't have to be that way, and it really doesn't. You could just, you've heard the titles there of each section, just write something, anything of anything, and it doesn't have to be all of those either. But if you can't do anything, write something. Tell them that you're not consenting, tell them that you're revoking your contracts, tell them you this and that and the other. You might not have it in my words, and you may not be able to put all this case law in, but at least you've said it. People should say it. Now, I can't tell you how to do this, and the real reason I can't tell you how to do this, because it was 8 months to just learning the first process, and then it was probably another month converting it down into this process. How can I tell you on a video how to do that? Unfortunately, the years and years of study of the law and actual methods that work, that are absolutely successful, not these idiots who are just playing games and talking and won't actually do anything because they know it's going to backfire in the face. I've put my face on the line every time. I go straight out there to help people, and I've put it right on the line. One person's got something bad to say about me, and one only, and he's just disgruntled, and I won't go into that. Anybody else has got anything to say about me, it's because I've called him a fake. I'm a genuine guy, and I'm not out to convince anybody. Yes, I am putting a fee on this to create something very special for a few folk, to get us totally out and into other places. I was having a conversation with somebody who's doing a similar sort of thing, and I'm going to also help them get their situation out. So it's not a case of I'm all out for myself. I'm not going to charge them a penny for that. They're doing the exact same thing. I've told them as I'm doing my process of getting my land, or the land that we're getting out, I will mirror the process and show them how to be doing it. And that'll work for them as well. And if we can get a few different communities up here and there and everywhere, there's something to work between, isn't it? And what we have, maybe they have something that we want, we have something they want. Anyway, I won't go too much into that one. But yes, of course, there's absolutely days of work of every one of these I need to do for anybody. There's days of work and quite some expenses. Folk will find out when they actually do this. But I do have folks coming through for it. And we have a very good reason for it. I'm not out to get rich, as I've said. I don't care if you want to say to me, how do I do this? I can tell you, but don't expect me to be able to tell you all this, because it's too much. And after this process, the one first process that absolutely takes an absolute age to do, days and days of work before I've got one ready for anybody, and then we send that one off. And then there's a second process that steps in a month later, where we actually set it in law, and it is in judgment in law. And then after that process, we deal with the peripherals, which are pretty much what you think you're going to have problems with in your life. Who do you think you're going to deal with? DVLA, police, so and so. And you're not putting them under any notice at them at all at this stage. It's all done. It's all done. This stage is just clearing up, and you're just informing them. You're updating their records, and it is an update of records. It starts with update of records. To tell them it's update of records. Update your records. I've said that a few times, haven't I? But basically, that's all you're doing at that stage. You're updating the records, but you're doing it in a form where there's a fee schedule attached to it. So if they don't update the records, I've learned through the years of absolutely tying everything up and closing every avenue for them. I don't let anything go. I don't leave them an angle to come through. If they're going to come back with anything, they won't on this at all. You'll never ever, they'll never ever come back on this. But anything I do, if anybody's going to come back, it's just because they think it's a template and you're not going to be able to handle what comes back. There's nothing more rebuttable than them coming back after you've knocked them back on the claim. It's only if you don't know what you're doing that you get a response and you go, oh no, I'm fucked, they've said this. But it's all ridiculous. Everything they do is unlawful in the first place. Very, very easy to rebut once you've got the knowledge. But as I've said to anybody, the ones that have had this document, read it over and over again, because there is literally everything in that document you ever need to know. And all this shite that's in my head for years of study, it don't need to be there. That needs to be there, that document. What's in my head, yes, it's absolutely fantastic. For me, I can talk my way out of any situation, but it's not so necessary now. I mean, like, please bring a situation on me. Have you seen my fee schedule? And as well as that, the first order of business, if you were to walk into any court, and it's already set in law with it, the first order of business would actually be to settle that document. And that's the remedy within it, which should save me a lot of work, wouldn't it? Because I'm going to burst this one wide open once that government open back up. Everybody I've set in is free, and anybody that goes for it now, don't think because the government's not working that your processes won't work. Still put your notices in. Have words with them. Tell them it doesn't matter that they're not there. That's not your concern. Your mail's still received and signed for. You've got evidence. You can still get that in law. Absolutely. It doesn't matter if they acquiesce. It doesn't matter what their opinions are at all. What you're doing is getting something set in law. You're informing the right folk of the right things, then you're setting it in law. So anyway, I hope that's explained a few things. If you don't know any of this and you don't know how it all works, have a look into your SESCV, your birth certificate fraud. The fact is, your parents sign you off as a birth certificate, they're giving you away to your loving government, who then make your parents trustees. So all liabilities on them, but the governments, they can take control of your trust. And at 15 years and 5 months, your trust on Evermore it is. And there you go. So anyway, have a look into it, and we'll call it a day at that one. I'm going to get off and look after yourselves. And there it is. There's the explanation, the best I can. I'm sorry I can't do any better, and I'm sorry I can't give you too much more, but that is as good as I can really explain it, because it's a very, very complicated document for those that don't understand it. Because if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm just doing what the others do and confuse you on videos. But what I say to everybody is, ask me absolutely anything whatsoever, anything at all, and I will answer. I don't blag you off, and I won't lie. I will always answer anything at all that you've got to say, anything that you need to know. It's absolutely disgusting what some of the folks out there do, and just blag you off, making out they know themselves, and they blag you off hoping you'll forget about it, and you ask them again a bit later and they blag you off again. Eventually you give up fucking asking, because you know damn well they don't know, yet you still follow them. It's a shame, really. But anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not one for caring for followers. I've always kept my groups small, even though we got closed down. I do try and keep my groups, I've always tried to keep my groups small, to keep the shills out and just have the like-mindeds and the ones that are actually interested coming in. But like I say, we're doing a bit of something now, so we're putting it out there a little bit, and hopefully very soon we'll be able to get ourselves set up, and others will as well. Be nice to connect with others and help others with getting themselves free and getting the land free, especially the land, because you don't want to hassle after the land. And there'll be there'll be different departments that feel that they have a claim with it, and land registries and such like, so you have to just deal with them. It's very easy. You just have to preempt everything in your life rather than waiting for trouble to come to you in your life. You know who. Let me just say this, for instance. You think, say you wanted to build something. You know planning permission are going to give you some problems. And every situation works this exact way, so don't think it's like I've got all these ideas. No, it's just the way things work. Planning permission is going to come for you if you build your property. You really want to do it, they're not going to let you build it, so what do? You try and build it, they're going to come and knock it down, because they've got the rights, they've got the implied contracts and such like. They're going to come and knock your place down. But you know, if you just noticed them in the first place, put them under notice to your inalienable rights, to what you can do on your property. It's your property, what they have rights to. The government's unlawful, prove that and such like. You do these little bits and bobs. You've put that in the form of an affidavit of truth. 28 days, you've got that one. You can then set that in law. You can get your own case law on that once you've done that. Ever so easy. Ever so easy. You can get your own case law on it. Now you've got case law. They're going to come. Now you build your property. They come to you. You can't do that. You can't do that. There's regulations, and piss off, you idiot. Case law. Go away. It's written in case law. So, what authority do they have? You need to preempt them. You need to work ahead of time. Don't wait for shit to come falling on you. The biggest thing about getting free and being private and being sovereign, as people like to call it, and it is sovereign. You are sovereign. But it's a bit of a cliche word, so I like to just say that you're in the private. But the biggest thing about it is it's motu proprio of your own accord, and the first thing you need to be able to do is prove that you can handle your own affairs. Now, if you can't handle your own affairs, somebody is going to handle them for you, and that's a fact. They are going to handle them for you. That's how the system's set up. So you must handle your own affairs. I think in a lot of ways, a lot of people already know this one, because you say, if you don't do this, you've consented. If you don't do that, but you must handle your own affairs. Think of another little analogy here. These old programs that we used to watch of the Lord of the Manor sort of thing, and he's in there in his office, in his study, and he's getting all his paperwork out, and he's bought something, maybe he's putting it in the books, because he's handling his own affairs. And I'm not saying this is what you have to do, but technically, yes, in a way. I mean, you could get a book and you could put it. I know people out there have made a big deal about a special book that you have to buy off me for hundreds of millions of pounds, and I've put a little gold embossed name on the front of it, and you'll think it's all special. It's all a load of bollocks. It's all a load of bollocks. You can put it in your own trust if you wanted to go down the way of trust, or you could just inform them. Just because you've got yourself free, it doesn't mean you should never contact anybody ever again, because if you're not handling your own affairs, what's going to happen? Somebody's going to come along and handle your affairs for you, because you weren't. Yes, you revoked all contracts. You need to tell everybody, because there's nobody coming around knocking on all of the different departments' doors on your behalf and telling them that you're no longer on the books there with them. You're not that man. You're not that woman. You're this. Evidenced. There's your number. You've got an official number there, and that is you. You know, when people see this shit, I've never seen that before. Well, of course you haven't. I don't know what that is. Anyway, I've got this job to do, and that's what you're going to get into. So you must handle your own affairs for what's coming. And if anything does come your way, fantastic. Let them bring anything they want. There's already covered in fee schedule. There's nobody can come to you after this in any way, shape or form, and if anybody does, it's to your benefit. Simple as that. But you'll get no hassle from it. Anyway, I am going to cut off at that, leave it at that, and it is what it is. I just wanted to put this out there because we'd lost the last one. I didn't realise we'd lost it. I was saying to folks, it's there, it's on Facebook. I've got other groups, Trust Asset Protectors, which is where folks can get in touch with me about this, but it's not, that's on Facebook, Trust Asset Protectors, or trustassetprotectors.com. You can go onto there, info at Trust Asset Protectors. But the reality is that's not a plug, I'm just, as I'm talking, I'm remembering. But yeah, it is what it is. That's where we can be found. The Facebook group Trust Asset Protectors isn't one of these groups where you post things to and it's going to revolve and there's lots of things to watch and see and such like. It doesn't work that way on there. That's just there for folks to find us and get in touch. That's all that one's about. We have other groups for other things, but Remedy Banter was closed down last week. They don't like what we do. Kicked off the face, so it's gone. But I will work things, and my head's been working on what I'm going to do next, and you know something's coming. You just know something's coming. I don't stop, and I won't stop. So look out for me. I will let everybody know what it is once it comes. If folks are listening in, I don't care if you subscribe to my YouTube channel or not, but if you do, you'll find it. But it will be an awful lot of fun. It'll be an awful lot of truth. An awful lot of truth. And there'll be an awful lot of law. And pretty much the answers to anything, if only you ask. I will answer anything, and with or without this paperwork. I mean, I can't spend all my time on the telephones anymore. I used to do about 8 hours a day on the telephone, but that was before the writing. Then came to the writing, then it was whenever I could, and yeah, and now I won't let it get back that way again. But I will answer any questions I can. There's nothing out there that's not rebuttable if it's in the world of fiction with the acts and statutes floating on the sea of commerce. There's nothing in the world that's not rebuttable, absolutely, and straight from my lips, boom, I'll be able to rebut it, because it's not what I know, it's the mindset. Once you actually realise who you are to the level that you need to realise who you are, you know it, and it's nothing big-headed. I say to everybody, I'm just a man. Don't ever put me on a pedestal. Never, ever, ever. Don't think, oh, he's special. I was a rough arsehole, but I really put my head into things, and I learned, and I learned, and I learned, and anybody can do that. And I am that guy, trust me. I am that guy that proves if anybody can do it, you can do it. So just have a pop, start learning what you need to know, though. Don't just start following bullshit. So much out there that'll spin you in circles. Don't follow people down false trails, unless they can show you they've done it. How can they tell you how to do it? So many folks out there telling people how to do stuff. Never done it themselves, never tried to do it themselves, don't really know what's going to happen. Just trying to use you as guinea pigs. I put myself right there. I put my neck on the chopping line. You saw some of the things I've served notices on, and I've done it for a reason, because I need to be doing that first. I need to be the one to see if shit comes on before I tell somebody else to do it. I don't see that with other folk. But to be honest, without doing that, you're not right, and that isn't special of me. That should be a prerequisite. Anybody's going to tell anybody how to do it, you must damn well be able to put your own neck on the line with it. Anyway, folks, I'm going to leave it at that now. I am definitely going to go. This is chopped into 2 videos, I'm sure, because I can only video for a little bit on here. But I think I know a man who might just be able to slice them together, because I'm technophobe. You give me a computer screen and a keyboard and I can tap you a notice for literally anything in the world. I can make anything happen. I'm absolutely sure if I tried hard enough and me and my mate got our heads together, we can absolutely change everything if we had enough time and worked everything. But what are you going to change it to? What we're doing is working on this. Don't get me wrong. I shouldn't really say it like that. Couldn't change anything. Couldn't change what they're doing at the minute. Not in the slightest. But what I can do, I can change it for you. And you can change it for you. Tell them, you're not serving me with that shit. You're not pumping that shit into me. But that's for another one. that is for another one. But this COVID thing, if you've got any concerns, you need to look into this thing, especially the new 2020 bill they've brought in. You want to rebut that in full. But again, that's for another video. There's plenty of them. I lost on my YouTube channel. I got took down. I don't know, 100 videos lost. But I've just started a new one up. Gumshoe Sleuth. Have a look at that one. The truth's come flowing on that one. So this is probably where this will end up actually for you to find. Yeah, they'll keep coming on there. And now you'll find on my channel I can have a chat. I don't stop. So I'm going to stop now, and I'm going. And look after yourselves best you can. The crazy times in this world, as far as I'm concerned, and it is truly my belief, they're coming for your money, they're destroying lives, they're killing people. Now, if people are going to consent to this, you're going to find yourself in an awful lot of trouble. You either need to remove your consent, learn how to remove your consent, or get it done. And that's not a plug. Go anywhere, ask anybody to help you. That's it's absolute in these times. You cannot leave your consent riding in with the things they've got planned. You just can't. I don't want to scare anybody, and I certainly don't use scare tactics, like I've said multiple times, and I'm not oversaying it. It is absolutely genuine. I'm not out for anybody's money. It actually sits quite bad with me, but we're doing something absolutely amazing, and what I'm actually doing is actually invaluable. So it's not a case of what I'm doing. It sort of sits, but I've never charged for anything in my life. But the reality is, I just couldn't give this away. Once it was done, I realised it's a process. You can't give a process away. It'll be used wrong, and a lot of people will be in a lot of trouble with it. And then a lot of people will be saying, that don't work, that don't. Who's the cunt? Craig Gumshoe. So anyway, look after you folks. Look after yourselves, folks. It's probably, I don't know what time are we on now. Oh, 2:45. 45 minutes, 47-minute video. I didn't expect it to be that long. I expected to be able to get it all in on one. I think it only was about half an hour, but like I say, I'll get somebody to splice this together, and then we will put it up there. And yeah, hopefully you can all glean a little something from it, try a little something from it, decide to learn something from it. The law is corrupt, the law is treasonous. It's absolutely proven in law, it's treason. You're committing fraud if you want to go along with it. It's absolutely proven. I can show you in 2 minutes flat it's fraud. Many people can, as most things are in this world, and that's why they've got you, because you're committing fraud on the offset. You're already in dishonour before it even starts. Get you every way. So learn to get yourselves out of it, or just get yourselves free for now, and read your documentation. You've got a grace period while it's going through. You read it over and over again, but there's no reason by the end of it you couldn't learn it if you read it 3 or 4 times a day or something. It depends on what effort anybody wants to put into it. As far as I'm concerned, I've proven it over and over again, and if anybody wants to learn something, they will. And it is all down to what effort they put into it. And people say to me, I've tried. But you know something, I've been the one there actually doing all the work for them, knowing they're not trying one bit. Over and over again, I was doing documents for people for different reasons. As they're telling me, I'm trying to learn. No, you're not. Hey, are you going on holiday and then you come? I don't begrudge anybody on holiday, but that's what was happening. I'm watching them go on holiday, then come back, and then photos from wherever they're going for the days out, and this and that. Full lives, parties, and whatever they're doing. And like I say, no begrudging from me, and I don't expect anybody to learn anything. It's people's own decisions. But if you're not going to learn, and you're going to do all them things, you can't come back to the guy and keep saying to him, I am trying, and I just can't do that, I'm trying. You're not even attempting, because if you did, you would learn it. It's not quite as difficult as folks would make you believe. So anyway, 49 minutes now, warned you, yak. Them that know me know it. Them that don't, I'll find it out. Look after yourselves. I love you all out there, but look after yourselves. It's really important these times to stay safe. Don't hide under the stairs from something that's not coming. Stay safe from the ones that sent it.